it's an important day because with me is the new 7th generation of the BMW 3 Series sedan. It's always important when this car comes out with a new generation because it's not just a significant model for the Bavarian car company, not just for its segment, but in a sense for the entire automobile industry. Yes, it's one of those cars. And the car with me, well, added significance for India because it's likely to form the basis of sales, or the backbone anyway, for the car when it arrives in 2019. It is the 320D. It's dressed in the Sportline trim and also mineral white is the color. But while I promise to tell you all about the 320D, you know me, I'm biased. I'm going to first rush across to the 330i, which is of course blue. They're claiming this to be the most innovative, most intelligent and most connected car from BMW ever. The all-new 3 Series will come to India in 2 variants, the 320D and 330i. This blue car is the 330i. When pictures of the new 3 Series came out just before Paris, I took one look at them and thought, the new 3 Series is looking really good. In the flesh, it's looking even better, especially in the M Sport trim. That's the car here, and what that does is give you a more aggressive bumper, more black elements down there, much wider air intake. Of course, the biggest thing that grabs your attention, that massive kidney grille, and that's true of all the variants. It's really, really grown. You also get a lot of muscle in the hood. Kind of nice because it sets the tone for the performance sedan and what it's supposed to look like. The headlamp cluster has changed quite dramatically because you don't have the rings really, they're not really rings anymore, yet you do have the twin rings. And there's a metal bit that kind of rises here and breaks into the headlamp. That's completely new and very different. But as that headlamp finishes off around the corner, you see a little hint of the 2 generations ago 3 Series. So call it an homage, call it a coincidence, it does look quite nice. M badging, M wheels as well, and the blue brake calipers looking really nice with the M Sport. Speaking of blue, of course the whole car is, and this is called Portimao blue, which is a nice coincidence because of course Portimao is the track where we'll be testing the drive dynamics of this car. Interesting also that it replaces Estoril blue in the previous 3 Series. Estoril, another racetrack right here in Portugal. So, well, nice little coincidence again. Now at the back is where you see what I think is the most pronounced and most distinct and also the most beautiful styling feature, the new tail light. It's got a nice 3D element since it juts out a bit. L shape, of course, the tradition continues, but it's just finished really well. It looks modern, it looks nice, and still tells you straight away that it is a 3 Series. The 3 Series has a 136mm ground clearance, but I have to say visually the car rides really low. We've been promised an added 15mm for India. The new 3 Series is also longer, wider and 1mm taller than the previous one. The new iDrive 7.0, the virtual cluster which has been completely redesigned, and a new layout in the sense that finally you start to see big changes like you did on the X5 on the 3 Series. Now some of this might seem a little gimmicky to you with all the metal and the different materials, but you know what, most of the target buyers are probably going to like it. This particular finish that you see on this one is the M Sport. You can get wood, you can get dull metal, aluminium, lots of different finishes of course. Same holds true for the leather, and nice little detail is the blue stitching on this one because, well, the car is blue and it's an M Sport. So the seats also have the little M Sport colors in there in the stitching. And the steering wheel, again, the shape and all of this is looking a little bit different now. There's a lot more driver aids. There's a much nicer head-up display that you never had earlier. And overall, the car just comes across as really modern, and it's loaded with kind of gadgets and you know, gesture control and all of that. There you go, I accidentally activated gesture control. So those are the kind of things that I think a lot of the younger buyers especially are going to love about the new 3 Series. BMW says the idea was to be cockpit-like and orient everything more towards the driver. The virtual cluster sees massive changes, including a tacho that goes counterclockwise for aesthetic symmetry and to keep the center of the instrument screen free for ample navigation or other displays. Being virtual, it changes colors and animation depending on Sport or Sport Plus, Eco Pro or Comfort driving modes. From an Indian context as well, the new 3 Series becomes really relevant because think about it, even in India, the car plays a really crucial role within the entire portfolio, especially at a time when the brand is going in for this massive revival with a completely young, refreshed portfolio. The new 3 Series will sit right at the heart of that. The 330i has a 2-litre 253 bhp engine that has 400 Nm of peak torque. It is mated to an 8-speed Steptronic transmission. As we've seen with all recent launches from BMW, the company seems to be going back to the heart of what it's really been known for over the past few decades, which is making really driver-oriented cars. Now, with the 3 Series, that wasn't so much of a problem as we've seen with some of the other cars which kind of lost their way and are now making it back. So, is it an improvement over the last car? On the whole, the simple answer is yes. But I have to make a little point here that, you do get a sense of the fact that this car has gotten bigger. And given the fact that the 3 Series is always supposed to be this really compact, tight, performance-oriented sports sedan, I'm not sure that's such a good thing. The petrol engine though is punchy, responsive and reasonably quick. It maintains the sporty character you expect from a 3 Series, but does not dazzle you in any way. The gearbox is very quick though, and changes are especially more fun in Sport or Sport Plus, with the transmission pushed into S or Sport as well. And of course, using the paddle shift makes it even more fun. Now, the car steering is nice and precise. For me, that's always been one of the hallmarks of all BMW sedans. This one certainly lives up to that expectation. It also gets nicely sort of stiff and sporty when you do put it into sport mode, and the good thing is you can now customize that sport mode, not just in terms of the individual setting, but what I mean is there's Sport, there's Sport Plus, and then there's Sport Individual. So you can really play around with that and get it to the kind of degree of sportiness that you're comfortable with, which is of course something that makes someone like me very happy, because I have to say I've tried the Eco Pro, I've tried the Comfort, but for the most part today I have been in Sport Plus. It sounds good, it performs much better, it corners much better, nice and stiff. Yeah, that's how I like it. And if anything, I think ride quality is better than on the last car. Throw in the slightly better leg and knee room at the rear, and the new 3 will be a better chauffeur-driven sedan now than before too, for sure. In Sport or Sport Plus is where the car comes alive. Most of you may prefer the Comfort mode though, I have to say. Having said that, there is no adaptive or air suspension on this car, and so while Sport or Sport Plus changes throttle, steering and engine behavior, it doesn't make the ride any stiffer or harder. Now, BMW's finally bitten the bullet and also added a lot more driver aids on this car. So it's not just simple things like blind spot warning or lane keep assist, but you finally do have autonomous driving too, and so you can keep it on that park pilot kind of mode where you just have to keep your hands on the wheel and it'll pretty much negotiate both speed if you're on active cruise control and of course the actual road and where you're going based on all the sensors, radars and cameras on board. Now the interesting thing is that in certain markets like the United States for example, you don't even have to keep your hands on the wheel, but of course right now I'm in continental Europe where legislation requires that you do, and so let's give it a whirl, and there you go, assisted driving mode is on. So I get my hands off the wheel and at some point the the car is going to kind of give me a little warning. There you go. The little display turns from green to yellow, and it kind of asks you to put your hands back. If I still don't do it though, there's a huge warning, and everything starts lighting up red, and of course the car doesn't keep its lane anymore, so you have to be a little careful. But on long, tiring, strenuous drives, especially in rush hour traffic, of course it's going to help. It is a bit strange how the narrative on this car, as far as the company goes, is more about how it's a more connected car and also has all sorts of new techie features. Strange because this is the 3 Series, for heaven's sakes. Still, it was there and I had to try it all out. Mercedes-Benz just did it with its new GLE, and so of course BMW had to do it with its latest model, and I'm talking about having an in-car assistant now, just like Siri, just like Alexa, and just like Hi Mercedes. So, of course, it's Hi BMW.
Hello, what can I help you with?
Who are you?
I am your personal assistant. Do you want to find out more about me?
No.
Okay, maybe next time.
Alright, don't feel bad. So, hey BMW, I feel warm.
Which temperature shall I set?
22 degrees.
I set the temperature in the driver's area on 22 degrees Celsius.
See, now that's the kind of stuff you can do. Control some of the things in the car, but okay, maybe voice commands could let you do that earlier too. So there's a little bit more intelligence now because, for example, hey BMW, what is my tire pressure?
The current pressure is all right for all tires.
Hey BMW, how much fuel do I have left?
The remaining range is 310 kilometers.
So pretty helpful, right? Now that's not all. Hey BMW, find me the nearest Starbucks.
I've selected Starbucks. I found 16 entries. Which one should I choose?
Cancel. And there's even more that the personal assistant can do for you. You can tell it you're tired and it'll switch on pleasing music and invigorating AC vent controls. Similarly, if you say you're stressed, it'll try and relax you with ambient light and calming music. And yes, unlike Alexa or Siri or Mercedes-Benz, you need not call it just BMW. So you can personalize it and give it a name of your own choosing. Hey BMW.
Hello, what can I help you with?
Change activation key.
Please say my new personal activation word.
Bernadette Blue.
I've saved the personal activation word.
Pretty cool, eh? We will bring you the further review of the new 3 Series. I'm not done. As promised, I still have the diesel to tell you about, and then there's another little gem of a variant. But for that, watch part 2 of this special review right here on our YouTube channel.